was no effect involved.
Right.
You know, and that's a key thing to look at. There was nothing that made any difference to them. It's just that it puzzled them, you know, which is the same thing we're dealing with. We get I gave you the reports, you know, 700 of those in the U.S. just last month of people seeing things that puzzled them, you know, but there was no communication. There was no message. There was no nothing. But if somebody sees those reports 1,000 years from now, what are they going to think? The same thing we're talking about? You know?
Also, I wanted to add, we didn't have a database for all of this back then, you know?
No.
Like, I would say that, would you say, Joe, that UFOs became more prominent in the last 100 years or so? Or last 50 years?
Yeah, well, a lot of it started up around the time of H.G. Wells writing his science fiction stuff, you know?
1930.
Or even a little, well, he was, you know, goes back to late 1800s when they first started into some heavy science fiction, otherworldly stuff.
With a lot of these
and that's what I want to be, you know, people to be understanding and specific about is we're getting a lot of reports of things that are unidentified, not the specific identified, you know, not the specific physical craft like you see in that picture. Okay. Those just, they aren't happening. Okay. What we're seeing here is things that we can't identify. There's no physical straight lines. There's no nuts and bolts. There's not something that we can take a picture of and go, look, this thing's got a manufacturing emblem on it. You know, that isn't there. You know, that's something that we need to be.
2% of sightings, right?
Yeah, and that's rare 2%. You know,
right.
This is the part that makes us look at what is this? Is this that physics that Ian's looking at? Or is this that other thing that we look at? Which category is this? Because we can't get a grasp of and put a finger on a physical, you know, shape. We just get fuzzy stuff. And, you know, the strange part about all of this is here we are talking about what people report, you know, and not just report, but what people submit pictures of, submit videos of. But yet you got this guy right here on the bottom, Jason, who saw craft right above him that were as detailed can be.
That's a genuine UFO sighting.
That's genuine craft sighting. Okay? But no pictures, no video, no nothing. They don't allow that to happen. Okay? When they show up in that clarity. When there's that clarity,
they don't allow that kind of footage.
It doesn't happen.
To happen, yeah. I'm in full agreement with you there, Joe.
Even the same description from the Zimbabwe school. Those kids drew the pictures. They all drew the pictures of the craft, right? They gave descriptions of the craft, but nobody got pictures, nobody got video, nobody got any of that. That just so happens that's always the case. But whenever there's a visual, it's never clear. It's never distinct. There's never the seams and the rivets and all that, like Jason got the opportunity to see up close. You know, why is that?
We don't know. We had a message.
Hey, you know what's interesting about that? So, like saying that is, I remember a few days, maybe the week afterwards, when I was completely traumatized out of my mind and thought, why am I even going to work anymore? Why am I even living this life? Because this is a joke. After what? After you can't even understand that. You know how that goes, Mick. Everybody wants to ask you, why didn't you take a picture? What? I had enough.
You just don't think to take a picture.
That question was, it was impossible. But you know what I did do? Is I called the lady I was renting my room from, and as we're driving and as it's happening, I had the wherewithal to call three people, and my roommate, and two family members, because I could see. I know the skyline. I know the cities. I know what's going on. So I'm like, okay, that ball light's right above Jeff's house. That ball light's right above the room that I'm renting out. These people came out of their houses with their phones because they believe me and trust me, because I don't have any reason to lie about anything. It's just, you're going to get it straight. Jay, I'm here. I'm out. I don't see it. And there's no way on God's green earth they couldn't have seen what I was seeing. So that goes back to that what was happening to me was, and then that lady said, she goes, I think certain parts of the year, my roommate, who then tells me that she had, come in my room after I've lived with her for a year and a half. My whole family's had these experiences in Ohio. And she pulls all these newspapers and photos, and her sister ended up 300 miles away within 10 minutes. I'm going, my God, I've been living with these people for a year and a half. All this to say, yeah, what a stupid, man. I'm so glad it's been 8 years. I'm so glad it's been 8 years, man. Stupid.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, this is the part that really just blew me away with your story, is you had seen all these craft. You went to the gas station and there was a cop there, right? And you went up. You went up to him.
There was a cop in line at the burger joint.
Oh, that's it.
On Westminster and Golden, Westminster and the other street, there's a Arco, or like a food place where you can get gas and go in and get snacks and beer while you're traveling, whatever. But just next to it is an In-N-Out burger joint, and there's a line of cars to wait. There's a cop car in there, and I'm freaking out. I'm trying to. It's been like 45 minutes. I don't know how long it's been, but I mean, we're already here, and all the other stuff's gone except these lights, the sunlights everywhere. I go up to that cop, calm myself down a little bit, went up to his passenger window, which was down, went up to him. I had a conversation with him. I'm a salesman, so I knew how to
engage,
how to approach him without him thinking I'm on drugs or whatever. Hey, I work for a bank, I have 3 kids, blah, blah, blah. I just picked this girl up down here in Newport Beach. It's been 13 miles and I've been seeing ships everywhere. I don't. If you get calls like that, the guy's like, he says something like, I think I may have gotten a couple. And I'm like, really? Well, that's a weird answer. And then he goes, then I said to him, as I'm talking to him, over his shoulder to the left is one of these balls coming. And it's close. I mean, all you got to do is turn your head, look up, and you're going to see it.
That bothers me so much.
And I said to him, can you do me a favor? Can you just do me a favor? I'm going to back up like 10 feet. Can you turn your head to your left and just look up, because there's one coming. Right when I said that, his whole demeanor changed. He wouldn't look to the left. He didn't want to talk anymore. He basically goes, come here. And that's when he said, you need to get your friend out of here. And you need to go, you don't want you talking to anybody else, and you need to go home. And I kind of looked at him and I go, and I said, and so my mind starts to go, this is a cop. So now I know the cops are in on it.
Yeah.
God knows who else is in on this shit.
They're in on it.
Jason.
So I kind of got pissed off a little bit, and I don't know what I said to him, but he goes, I'm not kidding. I don't want to have to send somebody here to take you. And that's when I just went, okay, this is turning into, okay, I'm in a Star Wars movie, right? And now I've got.
Isn't there someone that said to you, they're here all the time?
Yeah, I was about to mention him, Lee. I was just about to mention that guy.
So just prior, 5 minutes before that, when we drove up Westminster to pull over to the gas station, one guy through the whole event was standing there looking up at those balls.
Yeah, this guy.
Looking at them. And I walked up to him. I was so thankful that I didn't even look. He was standing looking up in the sky. I walked up to him, I looked at his face, and then I looked up to the sky with him. And I remember just going, what's going on? And he said, they're here all the time, but they don't get here. You think
it's like an episode of the Twilight Zone.
He said something like they don't come from other planets. They come through wormholes or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he said.
The interesting thing was he saw it, you saw it, but no one else can see it, right? This is very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. But the few people along the way, when I was waiting for her to get out of Marine West to take her home, the first thing I saw was one of these balls of light above Hoag Hospital, and then it would shrink, and then it would show up over here. So there was a security lady there, and I said, hey, have you seen it? Look at this. And she goes, I'm gonna go. I live right across the street. I'm gonna go get my video camera or something. I never saw her again. Then there was a group of college kids walking to the bars, because it's all bars down here off of Newport Boulevard. And I walked over to them and I go, hey guys, quick question. They're like, what's up? You know, they're smoking, hanging out. I go, have you guys been like, have you seen anything like that lately? And they're like, whoa. So it was almost like, and this was just a ball of light, right? But that's how it started. But like you said, Lee, one guy was seeing it before. One guy saw it before he was the only person that saw it without me having to even approach him. He was already experiencing it. Everybody else who I talked to basically needed to be. I remember looking at people and thinking, it's like I'm in a movie and I'm the only one that's seeing this, and there's zombies. It was really surreal.
Yes.
Twilight Zone, the movie.
Yeah.
Patient of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
You know, Jace,
I don't want to think about this stuff.
had a UFO sighting in Melbourne there early one Sunday morning, and it was the first one I'd ever seen. And it was I think I've told you about this, the jet black UFO. As black as the blackest I've ever seen. And you can't describe the blackness. And it had little winglets that hung down like a stingray, you know, it was a weird looking thing. And I remember the same sort of thing. I stopped in a service station and pulled over, and I'm looking at this thing, and my ex-wife is looking at it, and I'm saying to her, can you see this? And she's saying yes. And I'm looking around, and there's cars going past. Like there would have been 20 or 30 cars going past, and everyone's just sitting there driving. And I would have thought everyone would be doing this. Because the thing stood out. It's like a jumbo jet sitting there. Like, you know, it wasn't as big as that, but it was there. Like, you couldn't deny it. It's like the giraffe or the elephant. There it is. Hello. And
you know, Ian, the lady that I lived with who seemed to have a lot of information that I didn't know until this happened to me. Right? She said something like, so basically I spent the next 3 days in her room. She's like, yeah, I broke into the vat. I've lived here for 40 years or 35 years, and I broke into the black vault. Let me show you what that is. And actually, this house was quarantined by the FBI. I've never said this before to anybody. And it was all blocked off. And they came and it was when the old computers came out and they took my dad's stuff. And I'm going, I've been living in this house for a year and a half. And then but what I'm saying is her theory was, I think that sometimes during seasons or during when the planets align or when the stars, something that's happening in space this is her take on it. I think sometimes there's crossover, like what Joe said. It's like some time you're in the right place at the right time with the right planets aligned and the right date, and you happen to be, and you're surrounded, and you're it's almost like shit. This is what's happening around me right now, but nobody else. But so it always makes me think, what's really going around us all the time? Like, what's next to me here? What's next to me here? It's pretty creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the guys I talked to, an Aboriginal, he explained, and I think I've talked about this before. He said the way he explains it, if you can imagine, this is a portal, and these are all the dimensions. And they're all really close to one another, and you can step your head, or you can step through them, or you can put your hand in them or your head in them. And this is either hot or cold. It's active or it's not active. And that's how he described the dimensions. And I believe, this is my thinking, that when these portals are open, that's when I had my experience. That's when you had yours, Jace. And anyone else here that's had
a good theory. I mean, who knows?
When the veils are thinning.
Think of the three heavens, the biblical thing. So our heaven, the first heaven, is the heavens that we can see. Telescope, we can see the stars, we can see all that. The second heaven, which is the spiritual realm, where there's all kinds of stuff happening, but we're not supposed to eat from the apple. Anyways, we just can't. I think there's that realm, and then the third heaven is where God is there on the throne, and Jesus is sitting on his right hand side, and his foot is on the world underneath us as his footstool. I think there's three heavens: the one we can see, the one that we slipped into or allows us to see for a certain reason, and then the third heaven. That's my theory.
So Ian, where do you go from here getting this message out?
Where do I go from here?
I know you got two
All
more
right.
shows you're working on for your series.
Yeah. So I guess the next part will be where I start to publicly defame you and Guy Malone. Just make fun of you guys, you know.
Yeah.
No, but I'll be
Grill him.
what's that?
Grill him.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went full ADD on the last one, going into the history of black tech, what we do know before everything is classified and everything, because I felt it was important. And I wanted to emphasize to people that this has been going on for decades. Just the stuff that was classified 70 years ago that the U.S. was working before they were classified, like being able to what Brown discovered by chance. Not only does this apparently generate an electrogravity field, it had profound bonuses on aerodynamics, where they were able to completely remove the supersonic boom from a supersonic craft. And they were able to remove the shockwave just by charging it to a high voltage. So again, this comes back to Commander Fravor, Lou Elizondo, the director of intelligence, who was on Fox News last week, and he was saying, we've spotted these things flying supersonic without a shockwave, without a sonic boom. They were working on that in 1969. So and they figured they were probably going to be able to fly hypersonic without a shockwave. So anyway, I was getting to all that, and then ended it on the historic UFOs. And so next week I'll be going into personal encounters, C4 encounters. We had one UFO encounter here in Canada, which the Falcon Lake encounter.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So
Yep.
I'll touch on that just because it's Canadian and it's a Canadian show. So I'll probably wind up touching on that, which again, I think just I see no, at least from what I've read, I've seen no indication that it's anything other than it. But again, just kind of evaluate it, approach it, and then we'll get into, okay, here's some ones we can't explain. And, oh, by the way, why are these alien beings so focused on the occult? And why are they so afraid of the name of Jesus? And why do they want to defame him? Stuff like that. Get into the CE4 thing, and yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
bring up the red flags of ufology.
Yes.
I'll send you some more links as you're working on that one from Nick Redfern. He covers a lot of that.
Okay.
And there's a lot of things that caught his attention, and he goes, "Why is this even happening? Doesn't anybody question this?"
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'll send you some more of those here soon, very, very quick.
Okay.
Back to the question of, is time affected? You just made a couple comments, and let me just run this by you. I'm not a scientist, but I do think a little bit. You mentioned these things are not causing a sonic boom.
Right.
What makes the sonic boom?
Okay, basically you're forcing the air to move faster than it can. And so you wind up with shock waves as the air comes back together. You're essentially creating a vacuum. You're forcing a vacuum, a pocket of vacuum in the middle of the air, and it's going to come slamming back together. And that's, in effect, that's what happened. So you didn't see this week's show yet, eh?
Part of it. I haven't finished it.
Okay. So I just referenced a couple of experiments that you could see, where, like the one guy, it was a Russian name, I forgot his name now. But I mean, he had like a solid round pipe moving really fast air, and all he did was electrify it, and the air just smoothly, beautifully went around it and just came right back together, smooth as nothing. Whereas it basically, there's a lot of people who think a lot of craft already, like the B-2 stealth bomber, can fly supersonic without a shockwave. To a streamlined, well, it is streamlined, but it's a big, clumsy craft. And for that thing to fly supersonic, and there's a lot of good reasons to think that it does. Classic example, their first bombing run to Afghanistan. I think it was 2001. What the military divulged was very interesting, because they said the two bombers took off from Missouri, flew to Afghanistan after the bombing run, flew off down the southern tip of Africa on the same flight and landed. Now, they claimed it was a 44-hour flight. I have many reasons to doubt that. And some of the engineers on the B-2 project leaked some of the technical information. And they, back in, I think it was 97, some of the engineers who worked at Black projects leaked some technical information, and the B-2 was one of them. They leaked that they charged the wings to high voltages, for example. And this is why the B-2 can't fly in all weather, which is ridiculous. It's the most expensive plane in the entire U.S. arsenal, and it can't fly in rain. It's why not?
Right.
You know, but if they're charging the wings to high voltage and they require that in order to fly, then it makes sense. So anyway, I'm getting off of rabbit trails again. I'm sorry. ADD kicking in again.
The idea of having is it right to say that there is a criteria of speed to reach to create a sonic boom?
Yes.
714 miles an hour.
Yes. And
say that again.
Something like that, yeah.
714 miles per hour. But it
Okay.
depends on the area QNH.
Which is what?
Oh, you know how on a weather map you got ISO bars, you know, the different pressure gradients.
Okay, got it.
They're ISO bars. So, yeah, so
Okay.
it depends on them. But I could be
So
wrong.
speed is distance over time.
Mhm.
Because the question I'm asking you here originally was, does this ability, is it distorting time?
Probably.
Right. I see where you're going with this, right?
So have they taken the time factor out of this, which is why it's not showing a sonic boom?
Possibly.
Don't know.
I mean, is the sonic boom not, this is just something to think about. Is the sonic boom not there because it is distorting time?
Possibly.
That's what I'd say. I'd say they're manipulating it somehow. Joe, good. That's a good point. Very good. I like that. Because I've heard reports of craft going instantaneous from a dead stop, 17,000 miles per hour, clocked on radars. Apparently they measured it, and, you know, speed over time, or was it speed over time gives you distance? I forget how it goes now. And yeah, 17,000 miles per hour, instantaneous. Now, if you and me were sitting in that craft, we'd be probably jello against the side of the wall.
Yes. Indeed.
But if you eliminate the time factor, it doesn't make a difference.
And also
What would
just
it mean? I'm sorry.
that's okay. I'll just throw this in there as well. I see where you're going with this, but also bear in mind, if we're looking at, they are actually generating gravity, a gravitational force, and that's what's propelling all of this, then that force envelops or pulls on everything inside that envelope, including the craft, the fuel in the tank, the people on board, their blood, their bones, their internal organs, all of that, and it's pulling it all in unison. So you could withstand unbelievable G-forces.
You wouldn't even know it.
Yeah, it'd feel like free falling, basically. Because it's the exact same thing. You might be free falling straight up or horizontally, but it's the exact same thing.
Not G-forces.
Right. It's a gravitational acceleration.
Ooh.
So it's just something to think about. You know, I don't know about the time factor. That's an excellent question.
I remember also there was the Belgium flap where there was pilots flying in F-16s, and they were saying these big triangular craft were doing right angle turns at incredible speeds. So interesting stuff.
Corey, I saw that post you made earlier about your triangular craft. Thought that was interesting.
Yes, the Phoenix Lights. Yes, a big perfect triangle with a rounded bottom outlined in lights. I thought it was 4 separate craft at first, and then it started to kind of maneuver in a weird, slow, methodical way to where the other lights kind of came into view, or maybe they turned on, or I don't know, but we eventually saw the entire craft, and it was just, it changed my life. It sent me down the wrong road, but I eventually got pulled back onto the right path. So
that must have been really confusing how nobody wanted to report it but you. And then because nobody wanted to report it, you chose not to report it because you felt like the odd one out.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate how that happens.
Right. But
it's really unfortunate.
Well, they acted like they didn't know what I was talking about. Like, I don't know if they were just purposely being like that so I would just shut up, or they literally don't remember. Like, there's lost time and they don't even remember the craft at all. Some of it might be chosen for forgetfulness. Right. Yeah, it's amazing how that happens.
I know, Corey, when I saw that black craft in Melbourne, I think it was the next day, I rang a very big newspaper here in Melbourne, and I said, "Oh, g'day," and I gave them my name, and I said, "Have you had any reports? Has anyone phoned you about a black craft or UFO over?" I can't remember I can't remember the name of the place, and I was just met with a deathly silence. And it's very unchristian-like, but
we'll put a smiley face over that.
I was extremely angry, and honestly, you got no idea. Like what you're just saying, Corey. How they were in denial, or whatever. It was just this deathly silence, and they didn't even say, "Oh no, we haven't had any reports." It's just nothing, and oh man. I think I actually said something. Wow. But I couldn't say what I said. And went with my telephone.
They probably get it a lot.
Oh yeah. It was the first kick in the face. And then once you realise you've been lied to, you just and I've got to the point now where I just don't care. People can laugh at what I tell them about, and they can scoff and all that. I couldn't care less because I know what I saw. And there's thousands of people out there watching this right now that know exactly the same.
So, hey, well, guess what, man?
Good on you guys.
Hey, guess what, Nick? As the powers that be decide to all of a sudden push this narrative that's happening, and it's going to be pushed, and it's gonna get deeper, and they're gonna end up saying something crazy. And they're going to say, this is the explanation. and they're here. There are benevolent ancestors from the stars, or whatever happens, because it's happening.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell everybody out there,
Yeah, well,
don't believe it. It's the Bible.
Yeah, we had a TV
what the
program.
world tells you is happening, because
Yeah.
all they do is lie.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, the masters at it. The the masters of their master is Satan.
Absolutely. 100%.
Just here on television, the last week or two, we've had the Westall incident where I always thought it was 196, but it's actually 300 school children and 12 school teachers and numerous, people around witnessed. Well, there was a debate of 3 craft, and I've also heard 5. Sorry. Yeah, Lee's auntie was actually one of the witnesses, and I actually used to drive my bus directly over the landing site of where one of the craft allegedly landed. The road is built over the landing site, and it's between anyone that's interested, between number 11 and 15 Brady Avenue or Brady Street, Westall. And it's the landing site, and I drive straight over it.
When was this?
I'll have to.
6th of the 4th, 1966.
Okay.
Biggest UFO event probably in Australia, yet you won't even hear about it.
Oh, it's out there.
Yeah. If you YouTube Westall incident 1966, there's a whole documentary on it. There's a guy, he does a lot of black and white illustrations. And there's all these witnesses. It's quite interesting. There was an American guy that came out. He was a UFO investigator, and something happened to him. And I think he was bumped off, but they won't say that. But there was lots of school teachers were told to keep their mouths shut and never to speak of it.
That.
There was all these guys come in suits to the high school and got everybody
Men
in
in
the
black.
auditorium and told them they didn't see anything, it didn't happen. But 300 kids can't be wrong. And then, oh, hang on, that's mass hysteria. Oh, that's what it is, yes.
Right.
Mass hysteria, come off.
Sorry.
With a wet fish.
There was 2 of the students followed the craft that went down to
The Grange.
the Grange, which is a different section apart from the school. And these 2 girls chased it. And then when they got there, it had already lowered itself onto the ground. And one of the girls' names was Tanya. And apparently she touched it. And she freaked out. Something happened. The ambulance was called. They took her away. And her best friend went to her house the next day to find out what had happened and what she saw. And so she knocked on the door, and a person answered the door and said, "That family never lived here. Go away." And that family had been packed up and shipped out and never to speak about it again. So it was a massive cover-up, and no one ever heard of that girl again. So no one knows what happened. Be very interesting to find out more about that. Yeah. Apparently, she did collapse. She touched the craft and she collapsed. So
that'd be
kind of like a Rendlesham episode.
An injury caused by an encounter.
Yeah, CE6.
Yeah.
Ian, take us. Let the people know all the avenues you got for looking at your stuff out there. I know you've got a YouTube channel.
Got a couple YouTube channels. Probably GenesisWeek.com is probably the best way to find it. That's for the TV show. So GenesisWeek, all one word.com. My YouTube handle is Wazulu, WAZOOLOO. So if you go youtube.com/Wazulu, that'll take you to my channel. That's my creation science channel. You guys say Z or Z?
Yeah. Said,
Apparently, I don't know how we say it in Canada anymore. Because apparently I said it wrong as a kid. My mom kept telling me, no, that's how the Americans say it. Now I don't know how to say it. Anyway. So there's that. Let me think. In Canada, it is airing on the Miracle Channel, which is right across the whole country. You can also live stream it off their site when it's airing. So that's Miracle Channel, all one word, miraclechannel.ca. And they also have a video on demand service called Corco. So you can watch it there. But yes, I'm putting the mini series, I'm putting in high definition on YouTube. All my other creation side stuff is in standard definition so that people who buy the video on demand get the high definition version. But those videos were bonus. They were not on my radar 2 weeks ago. This was not planned. Are you came out of the woodwork.
Are you still doing live public presentations with COVID and everything still going on?
No, I hadn't for quite a few years because I went and worked for the railroad for almost 7 years as well, right? So, so that kind of, and the other thing too is I kind of retired from the road because I started working on the TV show, and so basically I couldn't really leave the house. I was at home because I'm producing it at home. But at the same time, I don't know what the viewership is on TV. It's complicated here in Canada, but I do know it's certainly at least thousands of people watching. Just on YouTube alone, I was getting 6,000 views on Friday when it's uploaded. So it was just an issue of reach. I'm reaching way more people, 10 to 100 times more people per week producing the show and putting it on just on YouTube, let alone on broadcast television. So
sure.
I focused on that. So that's actually the bigger reason why I haven't been on the road. Talking as I've been producing the show.
Well, in our future here, we've all been talking about it. Eventually, I'd like to get back to the States and do a tour. I'd like to hook up with Jason in Huntington Beach, land there first, and then grab him by the collar and throw him in the back seat with all of our books and hit the road and do a book signing and talking tour and hit everybody I've been in contact with over the past 20 years across the country. And we'll definitely hit up your way for sure. Yeah, so that's coming.
At the border. I'll warn them at the border.
Yeah, absolutely. I got some good contacts up there, that I'd like to hit up north of the border too. So not a problem. But yeah, we're looking, and we're possibly looking at putting maybe Lee and I have been talking about it quite a bit, is putting a couple conferences together and picking the right people and, the ones that are on the same page, not getting the fringy ones involved, but staying the level-headed and keeping straight to the message. And you're definitely one that I would invite. So we're looking at that probably within another year. So give this COVID stuff time to blow over, get you time to get settled in with your shows, and give me time to save up some vacation time to get home, and then we'll look at putting something together and calling you in. Anybody got any last questions?
Ian, it was a pleasure. Great to meet you. You're great listening to you, and got good information you had to give the audience and us as well. I've actually seen you, I believe, on YouTube before. I came across your channel a few times. I knew I did at the beginning, but after we got into it, I remembered it a bit, and I remember staying and watching. So that's always good. It's interesting stuff. You're doing a great job.
Okay.
Make very informative videos.
Yeah.
Okay. So, it was nice meeting. It was nice meeting you all in cyberspace.
I got to tell you, he's behaved himself on the show today, because I know he's got quite a sense of humor. He can get going.
What part of Canada do you live in, Ian?
Eastern Ontario now.
Okay.
Moved around a lot the past 7 years. But yes, I'm back in Eastern Ontario now.
Yeah. That's
And
a
again-
beautiful. Oh, go on, Joe.
Oh yeah, it is beautiful up there. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, we went
Just,
to Vancouver and Harrison Hot Springs, and just
Oh yeah,
beautiful. Camp
I haven't
3.
made it to Vancouver yet.
Haven't you? Okay, no, it was beautiful.
Nope.
We went 3
Nope.
days in the forest there. We went camping,
Mhm.
and yeah, had a really weird experience there, but that's another story. Strange.
well, for all the watchers out there of the show, we hope you come back for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But don't forget, you can find Ian's story and the story question that he answered and his information here. Great stuff in the book. Remember, question number 13. Check it out. You can find this book on Amazon, and check out the links for Ian's information, his YouTube channel. Great stuff on there. Really good stuff. If you're a Christian and you're puzzled about creation, evolution, you've only been given the public information. You grew up public school, public college. You've only seen one side of the coin. Turn that coin over and look at the other side. Go to Ian's site.
Mm.
You can't make an honest understanding of what reality is until you've looked at both sides. He's got the other side. Go look at it. You'll be amazed what's really there. God's word is right. 7 days. 7 days. 24-hour days. 7 days. It's amazing. Ian, it's been awesome. I'm glad to finally get you on.
Thanks
I hope
for having me on.
I hope you come back. Things are going to heat up, and I know I'm going to need you back on to answer some science questions.
Yep.
Work on that time thing for me. I mean, we might have something here. I think I don't think anybody's looked at that piece of it.
Mm.
I think that's a huge piece.
This was something I found online. I still haven't had a chance to read it yet. I don't know who this guy is, but he was talking about time and the whole factor of anti-gravity. So, and he came up with speeds of 186,000 miles an hour, I think he said. That was what caught my attention. So, anyway,
Wow.
but I have to go back and look at it because I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
Or where he came up with those numbers or anything. And so I'm looking into it.
All right. Hey, it's been a blessing to have you on. I hope the listeners have been blessed with it too. Like I said, guys, all you listeners out there, check out Ian Juby's information. You will be blessed by it, believe me. Thanks for coming on. Absolutely, it's been great. Guys,
Never forget.
Thanks, Ian.
Never forget. Hey, Ian,
Mm.
Jesus loves you.
absolutely.
Amen. And he also loves you.
Yeah. And we
Praise
love
God
you.
for that.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ian. Thank you.
Yes, pleasure meeting you all. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. Till the next show.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.
Later, guys.